What feels rude but actually isn't? Asking for money that is owed to you. It seems awkward and rude, but it really isn't, or at least shouldn't be. OMG, yes. Not only money, anything that belongs to you, and you have to kindly borrow it back. Not being available 24/7 despite being reachable 24/7. Oh, this is a big one for me, and it's only gotten worse since COVID. Home plus not working does not mean I want to spend all day chit-chatting on FB. As a long-time work-from-home employee, I've had to remind people of this countless times. Just because I work from home, it does not mean that I live at work. Ending a conversation with someone who is legit trying to commandeer your time. This is a really big issue in law offices, especially elder law. The old people are just so lonely they make connections with their attorneys regardless of how their attorneys feel about them and latch onto it. Honestly, it's really sad, and I feel really bad every time I have to hang up on an 80-year-old woman because I have to do shit. But it is what it is. 100% this. I hate feeling like a dick for abruptly ending conversations with door-to-door salespeople after they steamroll through all my polite attempts to disengage. Not hanging out with people because you are tired. When you're at a craft fair or farmer's market or some other outdoor event where people have a bunch of tables set up to sell their wares, go up to a table to check out what they're selling, and walk away. Either you don't like what they have, or they're selling their nice soaps for way too much money. They are looking at you this whole time with this happy, expectant look on their face, like, this is it, I'm going to get a sale. Or worse, when you ask them what they're all about, and they go into this long pitch about their thing, only for you to realize that you're not interested. I always feel like a complete asshole for going, yeah, well, okay, bye. I was at a farmer's market, and there was an olive oil stand, so I thought, cool, I'll get some nice organic stuff. I'm so cool and healthy, so I made the mistake of asking for suggestions. The guy proceeds to pour some shot glasses of olive oil for me to try. I hadn't had breakfast, I was hungover, and had to take shots of some dank strong olive oils, and be like, that one sure, olive oily. I'll take it. Yeah, that one please, just thank you, goodbye. And then I ran off to gag with an oily, greasy mouth. Passing people who are walking really slowly. Sorry, just going to squeeze by. Sorry about that. Not being able to do favors for someone when asked. When someone asks me to do a favor without specifying, I always reply, I'll try, what is it? The try is the key word, because I reserve the right to assess if the favor is doable. When I was growing up, I was at a friend's house and she asked if I could do her a favor, and I said, it depends on what it is. Her dad overheard me say this and flipped out at me. He said you are always supposed to say, of course, anything, and that anything less than this was rude, especially if it was to a friend. It traumatized me for life. Actually, I am not in the mood of talking right now. Leaving a party function early, or even at a reasonable hour. A lot of people take offense if you leave before the end, and it's a drag. Saying no to anything. I had a friend who said he envied my ability to say no without explanations. Some guy on the bus asked him if he had a cigarette. He apologized, told him he smoked his last cigarette earlier. The guy then asks me and I say, no. My friend afterwards says, you don't smoke. Why didn't you tell him that? Because I don't feel like I need to give an excuse. Asking for assistance. In retail, people often do this. Sorry to interrupt, when I'm chatting with a coworker, or when I'm stocking shelves, or the worse, when I'm just cleaning the shelves up. I'm always super happy to help, especially on weekends because it's the job I'm literally paid to do. Like, I know some people are jerks who hate the world, but still, I never want people to feel rude for interrupting my casual chat with my coworker. Waking into a restaurant and then walking out without getting anything. You might think the cook will be offended, but they're probably just relieved that they don't have to do more work. Correcting someone if they mispronounce my name. Calling people out for social misconduct, as in saying they are coming in 5 minutes only to not hear from them again. Mildly specific, I know. Calling out someone who cuts in line, and even though what they did was rude, it feels weird and wrong to be confrontational. Texting with a proper punctuation. I always feel rude when doing that, so I add smiley emoticons. Accepting an offer that doesn't benefit the other person too. Saying, no thanks, when offered more food. Especially at a family function, there's always those relatives that offer so much. I really don't need to eat that much food. My poor wonderful brother-in-law, right after he married my sister, they went to visit my grandparents. My family mindset is, it's rude not to offer more food, but it won't hurt our feelings if they turn it down, where his family's mindset is, if food is offered, it's rude to refuse. This poor man ended up eating like 3 or 4 full servings of dinner before my sister realized what was happening and stepped in. He'd finished what was on his plate, and my grandma offered more, and he felt obligated to take and eat it. I'm not interested in your product or service. Please remove me from your distribution list. Oh, I don't feel rude on that. I enjoy it. Telling people what you want as far as your boundaries. I really don't like being touched. Please don't touch me. I prefer not to text a lot during work hours. I don't like making last-minute plans. Next time, please let's set up plans ahead of time. I don't think we really click. I don't think this is working. But standing up for your boundaries encourages people to stand up for theirs too. Accepting a gift with a simple, thank you. Discussing salary. It's a good way to make sure you and your coworkers are all being treated fairly. Putting your money in your wallet after a purchase with a line behind you. Calling out of work when I am sick. Most act like I'm faking it, so makes me feel bad whenever I need to due to medical issues. I tried calling out once and was told to come in. I'd been vomiting all morning. Couldn't get it to stop. So I drove at work. Driving 20 minutes, I had to pull over twice to puke. I get to the office, and I tell the boss, and he insists I get to work. In my office, I puke in the trash can 3 times in an hour. He calls me into his office to assign me some project. It's going good. I feel somewhat better. I go over to his desk to retrieve some papers, and proceed to vomit all over his desk suit. He screams at me, threatens to fire me, and I told him, I fucking told you I was sick and vomiting all morning. After he calmed down, he agreed that he handled it wrong. We both went home early, though he went back. I got 5 days off to recover. I felt better almost immediately after puking in his office, so I enjoyed the paid time off. I fucking hate that our work culture is like this. Companies should be encouraging sick workers to stay home so they don't spread it around. But our obsession with short-term profits, and our, if you're not working yourself to death, you're lazy, attitude get us all sick. Not just medical issues but mental health. I have extreme anxiety, and there would be times where I just couldn't do it, and I felt horrible calling out each time. Being honest with someone about their abilities. There's a way to do it without being rude. I spent 2 years studying a craft in a very competitive field, and toward the end of the first year I started to fall behind, and my instructor started to give me polite responses instead of actual feedback. So I followed him to his office one day and said, I feel like I'm getting shrugged off. I know I'm not going as well as others, but lay it on me. He didn't want to because these are people's lifelong dreams, and it's hard to crush people's spirits. But he laid it all on the line. Said I'm going hang on for a while and fizzle out within a couple of years. I asked for specifics. He hit back even harder. I didn't take it hard, and in fact I was excited because I was going to fail anyway. Before he was brutally honest, but now I had specifics to work on and improve on. A couple years later we were talking and he said, you know I was wrong about you. And I got to say, no, you were so right. And if you hadn't told me all of that, I wouldn't have worked on it. Because of his honesty, I had 2 choices that were better than the path I was on. Either find something else to do with my life, or hone in on my shortcomings and work tirelessly on them, and if it hasn't gotten better a year from now, then I can find something else to do with my life. I got better over that year and now work in the field I'd started my studies in. That definitely wouldn't have been the case if that instructor had kept being polite and never gave it to me straight. You gotta be honest with people you know. Not in a mean way, not fully unsolicited. But if you're not honest with something people are trying to get good at or pursue a career in, you're setting them up for failure by not pointing out weaknesses they can fix or by accidentally encouraging them to go down a path that leads to a dead end. What feels rude but actually isn't? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.